Hey, welcome back to Hayes Historical Walking Tours.
Part 2.
Location number 13, Tommy Drum's Saloon. Tommy Drum was one of the most respected citizens of Hayes City. His saloon became the favorite gathering place for soldiers from nearby Fort Hayes, British colonists from Victoria, and such famous personages as Hickok, Cody, and Generals Custer, Phil Sheridan, and Nelson A. Miles. Drum was a generous person to a fault. He always made sure that everyone was taken care of at Christmas, leaving food and clothing for those who needed it. When Prohibition was voted in 1880, Drum continued his business serving lemonade and soft drinks. Tommy Drum was in Hayes from 1868 until 1883.
Location 14. And Goddard Slope.
Brothers Cyrus F., George W., and Edwin F. opened a provisioning store for freighters, plainsmen, railroaders, and others. On this site, under a curious name of the Cheap Store, in 1867 or 1869, they contracted to board construction workers on the westward building Union Pacific Railway, Eastern Division. They hired Cody to kill 12 buffalo a day for their meat. Later, Edwin ran a saloon and dance hall here.
Location 15, Judge Joyce's Court. One of Hayes City's most colorful characters was M.E. Joyce. Judge Joyce was a Union spy during the Civil War and well-known journalist of this day. He presided from 1867 to 1868 as Justice of the Peace for most of the western Kansas. Chief Justice Joyce often said there was no higher court than his and that no appeal could be made from his court. Joyce's office was the scene of many a court action on the morning after. Guilty and innocent were judged and fined according to the amount the accused had in their pockets. Joyce moved from Hayes City to Leavenworth in 1870.
Location 16. Dog. Kelly's Pharaoh House.
Kelly was known in Hayes City for his collection of dogs, both racing and hunting dogs, thus his nickname Hound Dog. Kelly also ran a saloon and gambling hall. Kelly moved to Dodge City in the early summer of 1872. And then the former site in Hayes was occupied by the home of Sheriff Alexander Ramsey. Ramsey was killed by a horse thief on June 7, 1875. Ramsey's grief-stricken wife, Mary, died a few days later, and both are buried in Mount Allen Cemetery at Vine and 27th Street.
Location 17, the Pioneer Store. County Commissioner Dennis Ryan and County Treasurer Mike Kaplis ran the Pioneer Store, a general outfitting firm on this corner from 1867 to 1870. By 1870, Kaplis and Ryan were the richest and third richest men in Hayes City. Tommy Drum was second. They remained in Hayes in 1873 when blacksmith Mike Haffemeyer moved onto the corner and planted a peach tree, giving the area the name Peachtree Corner.
Location 18. Otero and Sellers Warehouse.
A freighting business started by Otero and John Seller in Leavenworth, Kansas, and they moved from one terminal town to another. From Hayes City, they moved to Sheraton, then Kit Carson. Eventually moving to New Mexico, Otero Sr. was instrumental in gaining the right-of-way for the Atchins, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway.
Location 19, Santa Fe Mail Company Depot. When the Union Pacific Railway Eastern Division reached Hayes City in October of 1867, this site became the temporary starting point of the Santa Fe Trail until mid-1868. The 5-mule Conrad coaches of the Santa Fe Mail Company left here daily on the 4.5-day run to Santa Fe. During these months, Hayes City was also the eastern terminus for the coaches of the United States Express Company going to and from Denver. In 1871, M.J.R. Treat moved the old Perry House to this site from across the railroad tracks and renamed it the Gibson House. The building was destroyed by fire on January 12, 1877. During the blaze, Mrs. Louis Lord, a well-known actress of the day, and her troupe had to leave the building by ladders.
Union Pacific House. Location number 20.
The second largest house, built in 1867, was run by George Boggs and Thomas Renahan, who sold the hotel in 1868 to Bob Wright, post trader at Fort Dodge. Later that year, Renahan was one of 20 Hayes citizens who signed up with the famous Forsyth Scouts.
Location 21, Sheriff Bardsley's home. Sheriff Bardsley resided on this site from 1869 to 1880. An early-day saloon keeper, restaurateur, and county commissioner, Bardsley was elected Ellis County Sheriff in 1875 in a bitter contest with Jack Bridges. Bardsley was one of the few sheriffs to live through his first term of office. He also helped capture 2 of the Sam Bass's gang who pulled off a train robbery near Ogallala, Nebraska.
Location 22. Leavenworth Beer Saloon.
This saloon was located on the road to Fort Hays. On September 27, 1869, Hickok and his deputy, Peter R. Rattlesnake Pete Lanahan, were called to quell a disturbance caused by the straw hunt and others at the saloon. Hickok ended the disturbance by killing Strawham M.E. Joyce, preside at the inquest which exonerated Wild Bill.
Location 23, United States Land Office. Originally built as a dry goods store by Hill P. Wilson in 1874, this stone building was the home of the Government Land Office from 1875 until 1877, and quite possibly as late as 1879 when the office was moved to Waukene. In 1896, this building became the hardware store of George Phillip, who had come to Ellis County from Scotland in 1873 as a member of George Grant's Victoria Colony.